Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm going to be bringing you guys draft day winners for fantasy football. Now, pretty much what that means is guys based on the NFL draft that stocks are going up. Now, these could be guys that you would draft or that were drafted in the draft, or just guys that were already in the NFL, and because of the draft and things going their way, they are winners. They are the guys that are going to be moving up draft boards, moving up that ADP in fantasy football. So if you guys would like to watch Draft Day Losers, a video I did yesterday, go down below, and while you're down there, click that subscribe button. After the video, it will also be on your screen. Make sure to follow me on Twitter as well, at NotoriousFNTSY. So let's get right into it. Draft Day winners. Now, there's going to be a bunch of guys in this video, running backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks. No tight ends, because tight ends don't really move unless someone gets drafted on the team who is already a starter. Tight ends are like useless for this type of a video. So the first guy we're going to be talking about here is running back Austin Ekeler of the LA Superchargers. Now the Chargers draft Justin Herbert, which is great for Ekeler because there's some speculation, Tyrod Taylor won't dump off as much as a guy like Herbert might. So, yeah, that helps. But Herbert, I'm not sure how many games he plays. I think Tyrod plays like 4 games, and he plays the rest of the season. So, I think that helps him. Now, they also decided not to draft the running back early. They drafted a running back later in the draft to be kind of the guy to compete with Justin Jackson on the team. So, there's no real competition for Austin Ekeler not to be the head honcho back on the team. It is Ekeler's backfield for sure. So, I love Ekeler now. Definitely going on the rise, especially with Herbert. When he starts, normally these rookie quarterbacks are check down monsters. They see fucking no one open down the field, they panic, and they just throw it right to Austin Ekeler. So I love that move for the LA Chargers, and I love this move for Austin Ekeler. I think Austin Ekeler's ADP is going to rise into the first round, like I think it just will. It's near the end of the first round, so I think it's just going to be sitting in the first round now because of this move. Now, next guy we're going to talk about here is Davante Adams, wide receiver of the Green Bay Packers. Now, what did the Packers do in the draft? They decided to draft fucking A.J. Dillon in the second round, and they traded up to draft Jordan Love. So what is going to happen is Davante Adams is still going to be the number 1 wide receiver on the team because they decided to just fall asleep and not draft the biggest need on the team. Davante Adams is the best wide receiver on this team. He is the best player on this goddamn offense, and he is going to command targets. Last season, his numbers didn't look all that good because he ended up getting turf toe. He ended up getting hurt, but once he was back, he was on fire yet again. I think that Davante Adams is locked in for a great season, and this means even more because you guys know Jordan Love's not going to fucking play this season. Unless they magically trade away Aaron Rodgers, which they won't do. Aaron Rodgers' favorite target on the field is Davante Adams, and I think that Davante Adams has a great season this year in 2020, and them not drafting another wide receiver helps him even more. In some situations, it may actually help him because there's another guy on the field, but Rodgers is just going to feed Adams, and he's going to love that Salt Bay pepper with targets, so I love Davante Adams here for the Packers. Now, the next guy here is Derrick Henry. Now, they drafted a great O-lineman to replace Jack Conklin. Obviously, Derrick Henry is the Tennessee Titans running back. Now, they also drafted Evans, who is a running back, but he's not really the workhorse. He doesn't have the potential to be the workhorse. He's just the backup. He's like Deion Lewis. He's just the guy behind Derrick Henry. And this is a great move for Derrick Henry because, obviously, last year, they had a great O-line. This year, they should have a great O-line again because they drafted one to replace Conklin. So I think that this is a good move for the Tennessee Titans. I think that Derrick Henry is going to continue to go up. His stocks are better now just because of the fact that now his O-line is safe and his job is secured. Now, for the future, his job is probably out the fucking window. They're going to just bring someone else in to be the starter because they franchise tagged him. But for this year, in 2020, I believe that Derrick Henry will be great yet again. So the next guy to talk about here is running back Cam Akers, formerly of FSU, now drafted to the LA Rams. Now, why is he a riser? Because there was a million spots that Mr. Cam Akers could have landed. He could have landed in Baltimore, and that would not have been good. But he decided to land, well, he didn't decide. The coaches, Sean McVay, and the GM said, you know what? Let's get Mr. Cam Akers. And this is a great move because the guys around him, Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, haven't really proved themselves in the NFL. And Cam Akers was a higher draft pick than them. So he's going to be getting tons of use in this offense. He is drafted to be the lead back, the head honcho of the offense. And he was successful in college without a line. I've said this in multiple videos, but Cam Akers was the best offensive lineman on the LA, or not on the LA Rams, on FSU, and he might be on the LA Rams because he was just a monster at blocking, and he is also a monster at getting hit behind the line of scrimmage and taking it for 5 more yards in front of him. He is just a beast, and on a Rams system where you've seen in the past Todd Gurley, they just feed him, and obviously Todd Gurley got hurt. He ends up being kind of a bum because he's got this fucked up knee, but Cam Akers does not have that. I think he gets fed. While it might not be right at the beginning of the season, eventually, they're going to start feeding him maybe 3 weeks in, and this move is great for Cam Akers. He finds a wonderful landing spot on the Rams, so I love this move. Cam Akers is on the rise. Now, the next guy to talk about here is big man Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania, Mustache Minshew of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what did the Jacksonville Jaguars do in the draft? They drafted to build around the guy. They're not drafting another they drafted another quarterback, but not early. They're not drafting a guy to compete with Gardner Minshew. They're saying, Gardner, you are the guy, and if you're not the guy, we're going to draft Trevor Lawrence next year. Pretty much what they said to him. So they drafted a wide receiver in the 3rd round for him in Laviska Shenault Jr., a very talented wide receiver. So that's obviously helpful because the other wide receivers on that roster are gone at the end of this year. They can just say, get the fuck out of here. And they never really had a head wide receiver. And I think that Gardner Minshew is going to have found that in Laviska Shenault. And Gardner Minshew was putting up solid numbers last year. So adding a wide receiver and the team having confidence in him to not draft a quarterback early makes him move up for me. And they also kept Leonard Fournette. Now, there were rumors that they were going to trade him. Now, I think he ends up getting traded maybe in the middle of the season. But at least for the beginning of the season, you know Leonard Fournette is going to be there. And that is very helpful for a guy like Gardner Minshew, especially a guy who can dump off the ball to Leonard Fournette. So Leonard Fournette's going to be very safe for him. So if you guys have enjoyed this video thus far, please click that subscribe button down below. So the next guy to talk about here is Chris Carson of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks ended up drafting DJ Dallas later, but they didn't draft one early, and Rashad Penny is still riding that IR. He's likely not going to be back for a couple of months into the season. So you know what it's time for? Chris Carson. And Chris Carson, by God, this guy has escaped everything. Pete Carroll benches this sorry man for fumbling the ball, and they somehow just let him start again the next week. He fumbles it again, and he's still the starter. He just escapes everything because he's the only good back on this goddamn team until Penny is healthy. So Chris Carson will be on the longest leash available. They're not going to cut him short. He is going to be running the rock repeatedly for the Seattle Seahawks, who are a very run-heavy defense. So to me, them not investing in a running back early like Cam Akers, a guy like J.K. Dobbins, which they entirely could have drafted, they decided to stick their stake in Chris Carson. So I like that move for the Seattle Seahawks, and that makes Chris Carson a riser for me. Now, the next guy to talk about here is Mr. Derek Carr of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, you guys know, if you guys have been here for a while, I fucking hate Derek Carr. I don't think Derek Carr is that talented of a quarterback. I mean, a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, this guy was a goddamn beast. He was looking like the MVP of the league, and then he hurt his leg. But now, Derek Carr gets all of these weapons. He has so many guys now. In the draft, they drafted 3 wide receivers. Henry Ruggs III in round 1, a absolute speed demon out of Alabama. A guy that they're trying to do is he's going to be their Tyreek Hill. They've seen Tyreek bust all over them like they were Lana Rhodes, and they were tired of it, so they drafted Henry Ruggs. And then they drafted Lynn Bowden in the 3rd round, Brian Edwards in the 3rd round. So they have tons of talent at the wide receiver position. They already have Renfro. They already have Tyrell Williams. And while I think that all those other guys' stocks go down, I think that Derek Carr is going to be a much better quarterback this season. He has all of the weapons around him. If he cannot do it this season, then Gruden should be like, I don't know, man. Get this guy the fuck out of here, man. That's what he's going to say. He's going to be like, I'm fucking tired of this, man. Bring me back to a quarterback that is a better passer, man. That's what he's going to say, because I don't even know if that was a good Gruden impression, but Derek Carr needs these weapons. He got them. He has Josh Jacobs. His line is good. So Derek Carr, please, please, please play better this year. He may be a potential sleeper because they have so many weapons around him. This is his year to shine, and he knows if he fucks up, Gruden is just going to say, hey, Mariota, get over here, man. We're putting you in, and that's what he's going to do, because he would put in Peter Mann over Derek Carr at times because he just does not give a fuck, and I think Derek Carr, his stocks have to go up. They have so many talented wide receivers around him that this move is great for Mr. Derek Carr. Now, the next guy here is TG, Todd Gurley of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I don't think he's a great player because of his knee, but this really does boost his stocks. They did not draft another running back or add another piece to this offense that would in any way hinder Gurley. I figured, hey, maybe they draft a running back late to be part of this. No, it's going to be Todd Gurley's offense until the guy fucking dies. all right? I don't think they put a snap count on him. They're not the Rams. They don't own this guy super long term. They got him for cheaper. They're just going to run him out there until the guy fucking dies on the field, and Todd Gurley probably will. But while he's playing, he has potential RB1 upside. He is a very talented guy. The draft proved that they want to believe in Todd Gurley, so go ahead and draft Todd Gurley because I think that he is moving up. For me, he's rising because they just didn't do anything to hinder Todd Gurley besides the fact that his knee always hinders Todd Gurley. Now, the next guy on the list here is Mr. DP, Devante Parker of the Miami Dolphins, my Miami Dolphins. So, what they did is they drafted Tua Tagovailoa, which likely means that Fitzmagic starts the whole season. If Fitzmagic gets hurt, then it's a completely different story. Maybe Tua plays. But Devante Parker last season found that fucking stride with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Davante Adams literally made Stephon Gilmore look like a baby back bitch. He was just peppering Devante Parker all over Stephon Gilmore's face. It was amazing, and I think that Devante Parker could do it again. Now, once Tua gets on the helm, I think he still throws it to Devante Parker because Devante Parker's his best wide receiver because they did not bring in any wide receivers in the draft that are going to be even close to challenging Devante Parker. Preston Williams is good. Gesicki's going to have a better season, but at the end of the day, Devante Parker is a very talented wide receiver, and I believe as long as Fitzmagic is the quarterback, Devante Parker is going to keep eating, so he is definitely a riser for me. Now, the next guy here is Miles Sanders, Philadelphia Eagles, and what's funny is if you guys watch my bust running back videos, I have Sanders and Gurley there, so I am still a bit worried about the fact that Miles Sanders' team, the Eagles, may just bring in a guy like, say, Carlos Hyde, Devontae Freeman, to be his backup or the 1-2 punch type of deal because the Philadelphia Eagles and Doug Peterson love the term RBBC, which means running back by committee. And they just decided to say, you know what? Maybe we don't like the running back by committee anymore. Maybe I'll change my philosophy I've been doing for fucking years just to appease the fans because Miles Sanders is so good. That's what they did. They didn't draft another running back. Now, they're going to still use running back by committee, but I think it's going to be lightened. I think that Boston Scott and all these other guys behind him just are not talented enough to not pepper Miles Sanders with these rushes, with these passes. The only worry is that, like I said, I think they may bring up another running back eventually. They may eventually just pick one up off the waivers, the free agency. They could do that if they want, but I think that Miles Sanders, the fact that they didn't draft anyone proves to me that they have liked what they saw late in the season from Miles Sanders, a guy who exploded onto the scene. Now, the next guy here, the final guy of the video, is Raheem Mostert of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I know there's going to be people in the comments, oh, the San Francisco 49ers have like 9 billion fucking running backs down there. All right, I understand that, but Raheem Mostert last season was playing off the heezy, off the chain when he was getting the fucking rock. This guy was playing unbelievable, and he will now be the #1 back because you know what the team did? They said, let me get a 4th, 5th rounder, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to ship Mr. Matthew Breida to Miami. I love this move for Raheem Mostert. This guy proved that he was very talented in the last season, and I think that Raheem Mostert gets more touches, more targets this season. Now, obviously, Jerick McKinnon may, if the guy can finally fucking get healthy, may be the guy that catches the passes, but Raheem Mostert is still going to be out there. He is still the head honcho back on the team, so I love Raheem Mostert now. He's definitely moving up boards, and I like him a lot more now after they decided to trade Mr. Matthew Breida to the Miami Dolphins. So let me know down below if you guys thought of any risers, any winners of the draft that I didn't include in this video. Make sure you check out the losers video that's on your screen right now. Click on the subscribe button, any of the videos if you don't want to watch the losers one, if you've already seen it. And make sure to have a great rest of your day. I love each and every single one of you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow with yet another video. Goodbye.